Man like Mark Sullivan, the warrior self. Stay tuned for the thrilling episode. Woo!
A positive mental attitude can clear away all obstacles which stand between you and your major purpose in life.
This is the Snowboard project featuring Mark Sullivan and the Bead. The Snowboard project. The Snowboard project. The Snowboard project.
Welcome back. Episode number 23 of the Snowboard project. I'm Mark Sullivan.
And I am the Beav, and we are live from actually two different places today. I am in Ketchum. Where are you, Sully?
I'm in lovely Thousand Oaks, California.
And what
Thousand Oaks?
What in the world are you doing down there?
I had to. We'll get into it in the real talk, but let's just say I have a friend down here who I'm visiting, and so I just wanted to test out our road studio. If we could do it from two different locations.
All right. Well, so this will be a test to see. To see how we are doing, being 1,000 miles apart, huh?
Yeah, let's see if this actually works.
Kind of excited about this. I'm excited because, we're in two different places, recording two different tracks, and we're going to have to put it together. So,
yeah, let's do it.
All right. So
okay, so what are we going to talk about? Oh, we got lots of stuff.
You throw it at me first.
Okay, so, I mean, here's the thing. We got some snow in Colorado and Utah. People have been riding.
Oh.
Like, I saw people split boarding in Silverton.
Yep.
That secret zone, JP Walker's little secret zone, they've been hitting that up near Brighton.
Okay.
And doing some heavy-duty jibbing, early season jibbing. So that's been going on in Utah. And, I think that people are really, busting out their sticks and mounting them up and waxing them down and all that kind of stuff. It's this time of year.
Yeah, I got some bad news for you, Sullivan.
What?
Well, you lost the bet.
What do you mean I lost the bet?
Remember we were betting on resorts. You ended up losing.
What? Wow.
Because the first resort to open wasn't your pick. You chose.
You're telling me that Loveland didn't open first?
No, and neither did A Basin. Guess who opened first?
I don't know. Ski Dubai.
No, a little resort called Wolf Creek. Have you
Wolf Creek?
Yeah,
I've been there.
You've been to Wolf Creek?
Awesome. It's not just a little resort; it's an awesome resort. It's near the town of Pagosa Springs.
That was my next. I was actually going to give you. I was going to trivia you and ask you if you knew the town.
Oh man, I love Pagosa Springs. There's hot springs right on the river there. This guy Calais Pitcher, he was like a sponsored or maybe pro rider back in like the '90s.
Yeah,
friend of mine, and his family runs the resort there.
That's pretty cool. I guess on Monday the 8th they ended up getting like about a foot, and then they got 8 inches on the 10th, and they were like, "Let's just open."
Booyah.
Yeah, they said
hell yeah.
So they have a few things going. And this was pretty rad. I was like looking, and they were like, "Well, we're opening it up early season. It's going to be like $50, and 33 for seniors." And I was like, "Wow, like most resorts would be like it's $99. I don't care." You
know what that tells me?
What does it tell you? That they're core? That they're cool?
No. Time for a road trip. At least if we were on it, if we were a little more on it, we could have gone for a road trip. That sounds like it would have been a lot of fun.
We could have gone for a road trip. That would have been amazing. Well, so that's cool. So the winner of our first resort opening was not Loveland. It was not A Basin, as it traditionally is. But little Wolf Creek out there in Pagosa.
I mean, really, it's territory that we're both used to. We're both losers.
Hey, speak for yourself, man. I generally win these things.
Okay, well, familiar territory for me anyway.
So you said JP Walker's spot is up and running. Is there some video proof of this? Have any new tricks been invented well at the spot?
I haven't been following close enough. I'm actually a little bit less of a jibber, more of a backcountry rider, but I'm sure that there have been some NBDs been thrown down there at the spot.
I mean, if JP's there, you can only expect that, right?
Son.
All right, what else? What else we got?
Let's see. So, Okay, so that's like kind of like, early snow. That's like the big news for me because it's like you kind of get like that tingly sensation,
Sure.
all over.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But there's actually some other news going on. Like, let's say, okay, so let's just go into like who's on drugs because it is even a trick this week for me.
Okay.
So I saw this. For me, anyway, who's on drugs? It's Mike Bassett, and we both know Mike Bassett actually doesn't do drugs,
right?
But he's definitely on drugs this week because he got a he basically got a sponsorship from 10 Barrel, the beer company, and so he bought a Tico Snowcat, and he's gonna convert it into a backcountry bar. So he's basically going to make some kind of like building on the back. There was a video clip of him kind of showing off this brand new 1970s, new to him, 1970s Tico Snowcat that he's going to basically build a fold out bar on the bed of. So
I always like kind of pushing the progression of building interesting vehicles. Obviously, we've seen this. So really, what's the point of this? Is he going to drive it all the way to Alaska and set up shop and just have a bar up there, or like what's his end game with this thing?
I mean, I think his end game is to get drunk.
Really, Bassett?
Well, he doesn't even really drink.
He doesn't really drink. Yeah,
I know. I think it's basically to garner some more sponsorship. It is to do something cool. I mean, I think he's just like a logical extension of his creativity. And who wouldn't want like a backcountry tiny home / bar?
I mean,
right?
I definitely want that. I would love to have a little hot water, snowcat bar. That would be unbelievable.
Maybe we can talk him into bringing that thing to Idaho.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Maybe during like the Baldy Bank slalom or something really cool.
Whenever, really. We'll follow that. Yeah, let's try to do that. Okay.
Let me ask you a question really quick because I keep seeing 10 Barrel popping up kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And 10 Barrel, and I just want to know your God honest truth because we know that 10 Barrel. I mean, being that I own a bar, I know that 10 Barrel was a craft brewery and then it was basically bought by Budweiser and bought by InBev. How do you feel about like kind of that kind of money and it's pouring in, especially through 10 Barrel as we've seen it with their Pray for Snow video, and that's kind of been all over the place. And now this with Bassett, how do you feel about a beer company on that level? I guess putting their hands into our industry. I guess.
I guess I'm actually cool with it. They gave money to sponsor John Cavan's video, Pray for Snow.
Okay.
They gave Bassett money to buy a snowcat and build a tiny home / bar. Mm-hmm. They've sponsored all sorts of different events that bring people, together and have a gathering of people. So it's like if I had a financial interest in a beer company, I'd be pretty bummed out because they're kind of making it like unfair. It's like when Red Bull started sponsoring athletes. It's like if you weren't a Red Bull just had a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And I would say just based on the money that Anheuser-Busch brings to the craft brewing thing, and really, is it craft brewing? I mean, here's my question to you is like, if it's owned by Anheuser-Busch, is it still craft beer? Or is it like micro, or is there like another term that we're not using that could describe it better?
Right. Well, I think it's wild because Anheuser-Busch is the largest microbrewery, whether we want to believe it or not. They bought Ballast Point and Elysian and 10 Barrel, and you go down the list of like the top 10 or 15 kind of microbreweries. I don't know. That's interesting to think, but I think they probably kept on the same brewers. They kept the people that were still perpetuating those brands. So it's probably, they left them to their own kind of, I guess, things, I bet, in most instances. But you could trace it.
Yes and no. I know a little bit more about that because they actually ended up buying. The thing is, like the 10 Barrel Brewery was based in Bend, Oregon.
Right.
Well, they've had to buy a number of other facilities just to keep up with the demand of the beer because when you turn on the Anheuser-Busch faucet, it's actually like a fire hose.
Right.
And so they immediately went to like distribution in 50 states, and that little brewery in Bend can't produce enough beer for 50 states. And honestly, beer is like a relatively heavy product, and so shipping the beer costs a lot of money, so why not have it like geographic distribution points? I'm sure they're still using the same formula. I'm sure it's the same beer everywhere, more or less anyway, as far as like they use the same ingredients, same recipe.
Boy, that's interesting.
But it's actually, it's no longer really a traditional like craft beer or, where it's like a bunch of bros get together and they're like, hey man, let's start a brewery. Yeah, bro. Or whatever.
Right,
it's like now it's like kind of crossing the line between small business and big business. But hey, if you're the owner of, or you were the owner of 10 Barrel, you're probably pretty stoked right now. You're like, hey man, I just bought my house in Hawaii. I have one in Costa Rica. I have one in Alaska.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, who am I? I mean, but here's the thing: it's like they're putting money into winter sports, and that's what I like to see.
Okay.
In the way that Red Bull used to, you know.
Sure.
So yeah,
that's a great answer. That's a pretty cool.
I don't know. Cool I don't have like a good answer. That's on the off the cuff, really.
Yeah.
Real talk, right?
It's interesting. I actually just really kind of I went over and I went to Melvin Brewery out in Jackson, and I was reading about Melvin, and I really want to actually interview this guy, Jeremy Toft, I think is his name. And and he was like a snowboard bum who like basically took over. He was like waiting tables and working at this Thai restaurant, and then had the option to buy the Thai restaurant. And he got it. He bought it, and then he ended up selling it. And then a few years later, that Thai restaurant went belly up, and then he was offered it back by the landlords. He said, "Will you just come back and start the Thai restaurant again?" And it was called the Tie Me Up. And in the back, he started brewing beer, and that little brewing setup that he had for the 5 barrels or whatever, he grew into this, like, he kept going and winning all these like brewery competitions, and then he expanded into Alpine and was given like $1 million grant from the state of Wyoming to build this huge facility. And so he grew his life from like snowboard bum into owning, I would wager to say, maybe the best brewery in Wyoming. And it's only been like 7 years, So
is that grant from the state of Wyoming akin to Anheuser-Busch coming in and giving like 10 Barrel money? Is that the same kind of thing?
I don't think so. I would say this is that Wyoming recognized that in the small town of Alpine that there was a lack of jobs, a lack of industry, and this was coming to them, and they said, you know what, let's support this, and they put money towards that. And I think that's admirable of the state to recognize that and say, let's support this small business and grow it to be bigger so that we can support industry in a town that might not have very good industry at the time, or might be, have all these people that need jobs,
Yeah,
so.
I think you should do an interview with him, because I could use a Wednesday or a Friday off.
Maybe I'll track that down. Maybe we'll figure that out.
Yeah, that sounds cool. But
anyways, let's move on. We love beer.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Did you talk to me about Hintertux? Because I looked at that. I watched the video.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
What did you think? I mean, the park set up. I mean, people are riding right now in Europe because they have glaciers everywhere. So it's like, if you're in Saas Fee, and by the way, like the whole U.S. snowboard team is in Saas Fee right now.
Yep.
A bunch of athletes from all over the world really have like congregated on Saas Fee. And Saas Fee, by the way, is an amazing town. I've been there before. It's like Whistler's actually, I don't know if you knew this or you've been to Saas Fee, but it's actually, Whistler is based on Saas Fee. Like the layout of Whistler, the way Whistler's set up, that's based on the town of Saas Fee in Switzerland.
I have never been to Saas Fee. No, I haven't.
Well, the roads, it was built in like the 1500s or 1400s before they had cars, and so the streets are too narrow for cars. So you actually park outside of town, and everything is walking. If you're going to a hotel there, they have golf carts that like pick up your luggage, whatever. But basically, everything is walking distance.
Right. Well, that's
pretty cool.
So let me ask you, where's Hintertux in relation to Saas Fee? Is that a totally different area? This is a dumb question because I don't know.
I would say it probably is a different area based on like the way Europe is set up is kind of like Idaho, where it's like these valleys and these long valley floors run out, and if you're not in the same valley, you're in a totally different spot. It's hard to get to. It's like, how far is Mackay from Sun Valley? Pretty far, right?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing in Europe, where it's like it could be one valley over, but a world away.
Right. So did you watch that? Did you watch the Hintertux session that they had up there? Because it was pretty.
I didn't watch like the full video. I watched a couple of clips on Insta. I was just Instagramming.
Gotcha.
I was just scrolling Instagram.
Right. Well, if you go to opening.hotzone.tv, you can see the 14th Hot Zone TV park opening. It's crazy because I've never really heard of this, but they had a pretty sick thing called the Session of the Dudes, which I thought was kind of cool. And Roop Taneri pretty much won best overall.
Rupi Tontari.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Finnish.
He's finished. And then they had that that alarm clock battle. Remember we were wondering what the alarm clock battle was?
What is it?
They just had a giant blow up alarm clock on the top of like a quarter pipe, and it just had like 3 clips of the alarm clock battle, but like guys like, hitting it and, hand planning next to it and stuff like that. So
that's not what I expected.
Not what I expected either. I was thinking it was something else. But dude, I will say they had a scene in there. They had like parties every night. It looked like I was like, damn, like they're full on like winter party mode right now, and it was it looked like a good time. I was like, man, they really know how to do it over there.
I know. Maybe we'll get big enough so we can go to those openings one day.
Maybe we'll get big enough to do our own events like that,
Yeah. Now you're talking. Okay,
somebody might own a bar somewhere. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So those are the Glacier Park openings. You got Saasve, you got Hintertux.
Yep.
What's going on over there, Beeve?
I'm just angry.
Why are you so angry?
I'm just an angry snowboarder.
Oh, come on, Beeve. You're not that angry. We should have called up Kinger and have him cheer you up. Or better yet, we should just look at our Patreon page and see if anyone is supporting us this month.
Yeah, no, let's get stoked on snowboarding,
Yeah,
right?
I'm actually stoked all the time.
Let's get stoked all the time.
On snowboarding.
Yeah.
And you know how we're going to do that?
By not being angry.
No, we're going to do it by telling the real stories of snowboarding and not having advertisers influencing us. And so normally like in magazines and like social media, there's advertisers, people like Burton or LibTech or whatever, but like part of the message then that you're conveying is their message. And you're kind of like carrying the water for these brands. And so we don't have to carry the water for anyone. I'll carry your water, I guess, Beef.
You already did earlier today.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Yeah, no problem.
So go to patreon.com/The Snowboard Project. We have different levels. They're outlined there on our Patreon page. Please support this independent voice in snowboarding media. What else do we got going on in the world of snowboarding this week?
I don't know. Sully, hit me with something.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know this is like I was actually just up in Tahoe.
Okay.
And I was speaking at it's like a park builders summit put on by Effective Edge. And so this guy, Mike Patera, basically Snow Park Tech
guy, yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing is like Snow Park Tech, like Gunny and Jen Gunnarsson, they left Snow Park Tech to work for Powder Corp. And so they basically are going to be running the Woodward camps, and now there's like multiple. It's like, Woodward is like the next McDonald's, right? It's like they're springing up everywhere. One in Park City, they have one in Copper, they have one in Boreal, and I think we're going to see more of those Woodward camps pop up. And so Gunny and Jen are running that, but now they're no longer running Snow Park Tech. And so basically it's kind of split apart. Some of the builders, I believe, are still with Snow Park Tech, and those guys will be like building like X Games features and like Elliot Cohn, like master builder extraordinaire. Like he'll be like building, some of the most like the big event jumps or whatever. And I think he still flies the Snow Park Tech flag just under kind of new direction or whatever.
So Snow Park is still existing, but just without Patera and Gunny.
Well, the thing is, it's like it's different though, because I think there was like multiple facets to Snow Park Tech. Like they had a TV show, they had like a brand where they sold T-shirts with the Snowflake logo, and they would also like manage parks all over the country and like kind of help like different resorts get their park programs. They had like Sun Valley, like our resort. They were kind of managed for years by Snow Park Tech, where like they helped kind of organize and get together, help staff the park, help get it together.
I would say that they helped kind of just really for the first couple of years really develop the park and train the people necessary, and then they would kind of over a number of years come back and do some of the initial builds. And now I think we're at the point where we're doing most of the builds and they can every once in a while come in. But yeah, that's interesting if Snow Park isn't doing that or if they are anymore.
Yeah, so Nate came in through Snow Park Tech, but he no longer works directly for Snow Park Tech. He works for Sun Valley.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. So he's in charge of the park at Sun Valley. Nate and James are the two guys for us. But anyhow, at this Effective Edge Summit, so what Mike Patera is doing now is he's taking on kind of the park oversight division of Snow Park Tech.
Right.
And so he's helping different parks around the country get their acts together, basically, as far as snowboard parks go. And also he hosts this Effective Edge Summit. His brand is Effective Edge. And so basically this was a gathering of all the park builders. So cool to have like the park builders from Mammoth and Seven Springs and Copper and Vail and Timberline, Squaw Valley and Okemo, and just all these park builders from all over the country gathered in one room.
Sure. Yeah.
And then to have them listen to me talk. That wasn't
why
cool.
Why were you ever asked to talk? That's interesting. And what did you talk about?
So anyhow, like I came up with this thing the night before my talk. I had a speech kind of lined up. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something freestyle. I like to be challenged. I like to challenge myself in new ways. So basically, I let all the park builders vote. I gave them 6 different subject matters that I could speak on, and I let them vote.
What did they come up with?
Well, I actually had the subject. They had to choose one of the 6, but they
Gotcha.
voted, and they actually voted for one I was not exactly totally prepared for, but was totally willing to talk about, and I think I did a decent job. But it was basically the mismarketing of snowboarding.
Gotcha.
Over the last 20 years, and how essentially, I mean, in a nutshell, it's kind of like how energy drinks have kind of taken snowboarding away from fun, and like this kind of like, where snowboarding could have evolved more toward bank slaloms initially and holy bolies, it's evolved more towards like never been done tricks and 100-foot jumps in parks.
Sure. How do you think that's affected, just what the outcome is at each of the resorts? Has it just become kind of vanilla and we haven't been creative because we're just looking
Well, the thing that inspired this talk is like Mike Patera had this slide, which is like 90% of the people who watch Olympics on TV participate in skiing, but only 20% of people who watch snowboarding on TV actually participate, right? And so to me that says that like snowboarding has evolved, like it's almost like a spectacle now, right? And it's like this thing where it's better watched than done. And so to me it's like, okay, well maybe we've actually lost touch with like this idea of fun, and maybe it became more important at a certain point to be cool than just to have fun with snowboarding.
Interesting. How do you think that's affected people wanting to take part in snowboarding? I mean, is it just become too cool that like kids aren't actually wanting to take part now? Or I guess. Well,
I just think that it's like this thing that's a spectacle now, where it's like it's almost unattainable. For the average rider, you look at what happens in the X Games, you look in the videos, and you're just like, I'm never doing a triple 14.
Right.
I'm never slaying a line in Alaska, even though you can. We'll get to that here later in the show. And but like it just had this disconnection. Whereas you look at an event like the Holy Bowly or the Mount Baker Bank Slalom, what's the appeal of that? It's like it appeals to everyone because it's like something that everyone can relate to. Right. And so to me, it's like the ski racing and stuff on TV. It relates to people because like everyone knows how to go left and right on skis. They may not know how to do it at 90 miles an hour, but certainly they can empathize with that cause. And so that's why like the people who are watching ski racing are actually participating in it. Right. And so really it was more like I was throwing the question out there to the builders is like, how do we close this gap between like the 20% of people who are like just like the voyeur aspect of it, how we get those voyeurs to actually try snowboarding. So anyhow, that was the topic of my discussion. Also got into the snowboard project, told them all about you, Beeve.
I was a top of a conversation there.
Yeah, Beeve.
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I've made it.
You have made it, dude. You're like, you could go to Mammoth and be like, you're the Beeve? That's not what I was expecting at all.
Let me get you your tickets, and why don't we just give you,
if we're lucky,
season's pass.
If we're lucky, Beeve, on a good week, good year,
Someday I'll just have my own Audi, and I'll roll up in my, Ugg boots, and I'll be like, I'm the Beeve. Here are my keys. Park it.
Park it, bro. Valet.
So let me ask you, at the Effective Edge Summit, what was the most, I guess, what stuck out the most to you, and whose I guess portion really like stuck with you?
Well, I think there were some great speakers there. Barrett Christie was one of the speakers. Okay. I thought it was really interesting. She really focused on like women's snowboarding and just like the history and progression of that. That was really interesting. And I guess my favorite was probably Jimbo Morgan from Tomahawk, but he started Electric and Skull Candy. But man, he's told some stories that were far out. Like Jimbo is like, I would say maybe one of the best storytellers of winter sports. He told this story about doing like first descents on like telemark, snowboard, and ski in Le Grave. Like he did these 3 shoots that were like never had been done. He did them all in one day. He's like done the impossible on skis, snowboards, and telemark skis. He's crazy.
Way.
He's amazing, dude. I mean, if you get to hang out with Jimbo Morgan, do it. Right. So that was my, and then also just the insights. There's like a session on injuries and like just like that went over my head a little bit.
Right.
And then airbags and the liability. There was like liability talk, stuff like that too.
Sure.
And
sure.
And then I think one of the coolest things is just when all the park builders get together and swap ideas. Bench racing with park builders is the coolest part.
What's kind of the end goal to accomplish, I guess, in that time? Like, what does everybody kind of hope to do? Is it just kind of coming together and swapping ideas, or is it actually like
it's just like continuing education. It's like these guys, and when they get together and they get to really like kind of hash out ideas, it's like everyone is like operating in their own little worlds, and they're talking to their park crew or whatever, and they get together with all these people at the top of their game, and they get to swap these ideas. That's where the magic happens. It happens at a beer after the conference, like the general speaking engagements, or after I was done talking, then they would have a beer and sit down, and they'd really talk and have a good time, and really kind of swap the ideas that'll make a difference in parks in the future.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, that sounds like a pretty sick weekend for you, huh?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Had a couple great weekends, yeah.
Yeah, you have. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, we got some other stuff going on though in the world. Snowboard, why don't you throw something to me? What do we got?
I watched most of The Future of Yesterday.
Oh man,
dude,
can you believe that's a free video on Transworld? They made it free.
I know it's kind of unbelievable because it is. I will wager to bet it's one of those videos that we kind of talk about, and the last ones that I can really say that like, oh, like robot food this, robot food that. I think this will be one of those like, remember the future of yesterday, like 10 years down the line,
right?
Like, I'm going to go dig that back up and watch it again. Get stoked,
Yeah.
And
totally.
I don't know. I think it's just like, you're like, I wish I were part of that crew,
I know, right? They have so much fun. So much fun.
What was your take from it? What's your takeaway from watching that video?
I had a pretty similar take. I thought we were actually kind of on with our assessment of it, like in one of our other Real Talks. Sure. But like to me, it just got, and regardless of whether I could relate to the tricks, to the people, whatever, it got me stoked for snowboarding. So yeah, I would say maybe movie of the year. I haven't seen them all yet,
which is crazy because it's like it's free, which is rad, dude. The opening scene where they're like all shredding, down like a 3-way hell track, and they're all like basically, half of it is like bank slalom turns right into like booters, right into like just some crazy looking features, and they're all just flying through the air. I saw some like really cool slanted angles that just made your brain kind of just like explode for a second and trying to like understand how that was shot, but we don't have to talk about it too much because people can go watch it. They should go
TW
watch it.
Snow. Yeah, just watch it. Don't listen to us. Watch it. Yeah. Great movie though. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Beef here. I know you're probably kicking back in your room with your headphones on, or maybe you're in your car on the way to work, or maybe coming from work, and I just want to say thank you for tuning in and listening. It is people like you that make this worth it for guys like Mark and I to make these episodes for you. Please do us a favor. Will you please rate us, share us, tell your friends, spread the word. We want to be able to keep making this happen. And if you can also go to patreon.com/the Snowboard Project, you can check us out and you can help us keep creating these podcasts for you. We are an independent voice in snowboard media, meaning we don't have anybody that we are beholden to. We don't have anybody that says, hey, maybe you shouldn't talk about that, and that is why this is special. So thank you for being a supporter of that. If you feel like supporting us, or if you don't, hey, either way, at least you're tuning in. So please share, please like, please rate, please let us know how we can be better. Patreon.com/the Snowboard Project.
Maybe we should talk some Tailgate Alaska. That's near and dear to my heart.
I love Tailgate, and it's been a big part of my life as well, Mark. You introduced it to me.
Yeah. And so, here's the thing, though. tickets are going on sale today. There's a new pricing structure. I don't know. Maybe we should get Dustin on the phone and see if he can fill us in on some of the details. Dustin is the guy, by the way, that I handed the reins of Tailgate Alaska over to kind of pass on, this idea of like having the ultimate snowboarding experience. Because to me, like Tailgate Alaska or just Alaska is like the ultimate in snowboarding. Granted, you're not going to get like the same amenities you get in Whistler or Hintertux or wherever, but it's like, to me, it's the ultimate experience in winter sports.
I would kind of agree with that. I think, I was introduced to it by you, not really knowing what to expect, but I think some of the feelings that I've had there, when you sit on top of like the top of the Chugach and you look out over just like hundreds of miles of mountains that are the same height, and you just go like,
yeah,
wow, this is how life is supposed to be lived,
right? I know,
and then
right?
you descend this 5,000 foot peak down to the ground, and you're like, that was unbelievable, and I don't know that I've had experiences or feelings like that in many other places, or felt that insignificant. You really realize how big things are when you're that tiny standing up there.
It's truly humbling to just be the guy who like did that. It's like, wow, it's like, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve to be like, to get any credit for that. Those mountains are the thing that's the experience. But like, I am really proud of the fact that it's still going on. And so tickets are going to go on sale today. Yeah. So let me get Dustin on the horn here. Let me give Dustin, I'll join him in on our thing.
Is he there?
And,
I might have lost you there, Sullivan, just so you know. I can't hear anything.
I got Dustin here. I'm going to join him in.
We'll cut this
Dustin, are you there?
Oh.
Yo,
can you hear
what's
me?
happening, man?
This is Mark?
Yeah, this is Mark from the Snowboard Project, formerly of Tailgate Alaska.
Oh, what's up, man?
Oh, just sitting here. We were just talking Tailgate, and I understand tickets are going on sale today.
Yeah, I'm sitting at the computer right now, just kind of checking the website for typos and going to launch.
Sick. So maybe you can break down for us, just like, because I know there's a new pricing scheme. I used to charge $450 or $499 even for a ticket to Tailgate, and we would like sell a lot of tickets. But now you have like a new lower price. Maybe you can explain that to our listeners, and maybe just explain it.
Yeah, totally. So, in the past, typically each person just needed what was called an all-access pass. And those range anywhere from like $300 to $500 for the year, depending on kind of what the event was about. And everyone needed one, and then that kind of gave you everything. But this year we're doing it a little different with like you still have your all-access pass.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like
what do you get with that?
Okay, so that like basically gets you on site, gets you all the tailgate swag that comes from like our sponsors and partners. It gets you access to the bathrooms, the beer garden, the concerts, the man games, Wi-Fi, speaker panels, all the cool like event stuff that goes on. That's what kind of gets you in, gets you into that. And then basically you're going to need what's called a lot spot. And that's like a place where you and your crew live. Mm-hmm. And actually, I was going to see if you guys could help me out with something.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I think like this would be great, the Snowboard Project, because, Mark, we've talked about, Tailgate kind of becomes like a town.
Yeah.
Or like a city for like 10 days, like a community.
For sure.
And so we wanted to name like the main like road that everyone camps out on. And Mark, we had kind of said, man, every like city has like an MLK Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
We're like, so we should do.
I've avoided plenty of those in inner cities.
but like maybe giving a shout out to like some like a classic rapper or something and naming it that, right?
Oh.
Is what we had talked about. And so like I know that you're like an East Coast rap guy,
yeah.
Mark. Like
yeah.
I'm like a West Coast guy. Beav, what are you?
Oh man, I'm from Idaho. Right in the middle.
He doesn't listen to rap.
Eminem?
No,
the Kid Rock.
Eminem.
He's the Kid Rock. Kid Rock way. It's a very short street.
Let's just go with. I'll just go with Kid Rock. Yeah, that'll be my vote.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go with Big L. Big L would be my first choice. Biggie would be my second choice. Big L though is the one that people should recognize.
Big L.
Big L.
I think we'd have to do like Notorious B.I.G. instead of Big L if we were going to go East Coast.
Why is that? Because everyone knows Notorious B.I.G. They should know Big L.
Yeah, they should, and maybe that can be your goal. But no, it's got to be B.I.G.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, fine. Hey, this is your event now. This is all your fault now.
Yeah. So and then I'm thinking like maybe Easy E Street or like Run DMC
Ooh,
Boulevard.
I like Easy Way, Easy E. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Easy E.
Because it's like,
Can I go
are they
with-
dead
can I go with,
rappers? Because we could do like Scott LaRock, the DJ for like KRS-One. We could do Big L or Big E. You got Tupac, he's dead. You got Easy E, he's dead.
He's dead.
Yep. I mean, that's a prerequisite to get a street named after you.
I think they should have to be dead for sure. You know, ODB, Old Dirty Bastard.
Oh yeah, he would be a good one too.
Yeah. So
I was thinking Limp Bizkit. Just
Shut
that out
the
there.
beef to stop. Yeah, Fred Durst Way.
Oh, Fred Durst Way.
Okay.
FD Dub.
I can't wait to get my lot spot on Fred Durst Way, dude. I'm gonna be jamming that nookie all night long, dude. You're gonna be camped out next to me.
I'm on FD
Okay,
Dub.
so what does it cost for a ticket to Tailgate this year, Dustin?
All right, man. So full price for a ticket is going to be for an all access will be $250.
Okay.
But we're doing some.
So like $25 a day. $25 a day, basically.
$25 a day, but we're actually doing some like early sales this year, which
oh,
brings that
okay.
price down if you buy early.
Like, what do you mean early?
The event.
What do you mean early?
So like starting like in an hour when I push launch to about. Let's see, the end of November, we've got like our Bluebird sale, and so tickets will be $150.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa, dude. Whoa. Dude, pump the brakes, Dustin.
That's amazing.
No, $15 a day? $15 a day. What can you do for $15 a day? Get 3 coffees? No, dude, that's not. No, you got to rethink this, I think. I mean, hey, it's your event now, dude. It's your event now.
I've cut costs, Mark. You were running way high budgets, dude.
Well, I had to buy all the infrastructure, and I am giving you a $0 lease on the infrastructure.
That's true, man. You've made it pretty easy for me to do these prices. But and so let's see. Then starting right after Black Friday, tickets are going to go up to I think it's $200 is the winter sale. And that basically is for people who are still kind of trying to figure it out. You know, that goes till the end of January, and then we've got our full sale price. So that's all the last people they have to pay.
Whoa. Okay, and how much does it cost for a spot for your camping spot?
So $300, you know,
Okay.
and that's going to be big enough to fit like a motorhome and like, let's say, a trailer for your sleds, or if you wanted to build out like a little like fire zone hangout spot, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, up to four people can probably take on a lot of spots, so it doesn't end up being that much. So if you buy early, you know, it's $150 for your ticket, and then let's say like $75.
Right,
So,
because
like,
you can
$100
split it 4 ways or whatever.
Yeah, you and your crew kind of go in together on the lot spot, and then you get to, like, in January, we have this thing called the marketplace opening up, and we have different neighborhoods, and you get to choose, like, which part of Tailgate you want to be on.
Okay, so I could be like, I definitely don't want to be on Fred Durst Way.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, Mark. You like to bring your fat bike, your ukulele, you know, and like, you know, your
Fair enough.
crafting stuff, so I figure you want to be in, like, the quieter neighborhood at the end.
Right. What's that one called?
We're dedicating that to our founder, Mark Sullivan. Yeah,
Oh,
Mark
no,
Sullivan's
dude, no.
crafting and yoga neighborhood.
Come on now.
No.
Okay, but like, do you have to? What can certain crews buy like 2 or 3 spots and have like a compound, like the Gypsy crew, because they build like a cabin and have sled trailers? They're gonna need a couple of spots, right?
Exactly. You know, we're kind of finding that there's these crews that come back year after year and build out some pretty crazy shit, right?
Right.
So they kind of need a bigger spot, and so this allows us to, you know, meet their needs with spacing and still kind of cover our costs of giving that spot in the middle of nowhere.
Gotcha.
And so what's cool is, like, you know, once you buy your thing too, is like you can add any names to this lot spot. So like, let's say you want to come for like the first 5 days.
Yep.
And then you're going on a heli trip in Haines, or you're going to see like your long lost grandma in Fairbanks, whatever, right? You can actually, like, on the lot spot marketplace, be like, well, I'm going to be in this spot for 5 days. Who wants to take over the next 5 days? So that gives people options there on like planning when they're going to be. And we're going to have like Yeah, we're going to have like a leasing office, basically, that's going to run our whole real estate.
Sounds like you've gotten things really complicated, Dustin.
Yeah, we'll see, man. It's the first year trying this, so
Okay, cool.
I think it's going to work out.
I think it will too, but dude, honestly, that's pretty crazy. $150. I think those prices are too low personally, because I don't know. I mean, it's expensive to run that event. I do know that.
Well, dude, you taught me the spreadsheet and how to live
I did.
by the spreadsheet.
You do have to live by your spreadsheet for sure.
So I'm pretty sure we can make this happen. And the cool part too is that there's a lot of like snowboard brands and other companies that get behind the event, and they help out with some of the costs.
Cool.
So,
you're like offset ticket price, subsidized tickets.
Yeah, they help subsidize ticket prices, and then they also help pay for some of those cool like extracurricular things. Whether it's like the concerts at night, the beer gardens, these kind of things, right? Snow safety classes.
Cool.
All the stuff that makes it kind of a festival.
Cool.
Ski-Doo, they came last year, and they really did it up. That's kind of the cool thing about sponsoring the event.
Yeah.
Is you end up like going to Alaska and riding powder.
Yeah, that's the best part, obviously. But I saw that video they came out with. That was pretty cool. They came out with like a promotional video this week for Tailgate. Ski-Doo did.
I know, it was awesome, man. There's like all these like guys from Australia that are like riding sleds around in Alaska. They did some cool stuff last year.
Yep, cool. So, Beav, you got any questions for Dustin?
I don't really have too many questions. I'm just excited to see where this goes, kind of under the new guidance of you, Dustin. And I've obviously loved Tailgate for a number of different reasons, I guess. Meeting people and being exposed to Alaska, and kind of, I have so many friends, my kind of Tailgate Alaska family all over the U.S. through all those years, that I think whatever happens, it's a positive thing that happens up there in Alaska on the pass. And hopefully I'll make it up there for another one sometime soon, maybe this year. I don't know.
Dude, you got to come up and
I do.
podcast with some people up here, man. The Snowboard Project needs to be on site.
I know.
Oh, I will be. I will be, guaranteed.
Well, we'll see about that. I don't know if it's in the budget, Mark. I lowered ticket prices.
Now you're gonna have to pay, Sully.
It's cool, Beav, is I got.
I'm gonna burn that place down.
I got all the old archival footage from the years of Tailgate. And like last night, I came across some footage of you snowboarding, so I'm gonna have to throw that up on our Instagram.
Oh God, was it the one where I was coming down off the backside of like Python and just like totally. It was the year that Mount Redoubt exploded, and there was like a black layer under the snow, and I just like totally caught my snowboard and just tomahawked, like Chugach with my whole camera bag and tripod like 4 times over.
Those excuses just flow off your tongue a little bit too easy for my comfort, Beav.
Hey
man,
try tomahawk on a volcano?
Dude.
Yeah, he did. He blamed it on a volcano. I tomahawked because of a volcano.
Down that. You know what?
Fuck yeah.
Sully, plenty of times I went and took my fucking snowboard run with a freaking midget on my back, okay?
I know. Hey.
And rode all that shit while you just had a great time, and everybody else did that I got to film. So, just put that into perspective. I took one tumble down it, and I hear about it to this day. So yeah, please put it up, because and thank Rob Kingwell for taking it.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays we got some pretty sick racks on the sled, so we can carry equipment for you this year, okay?
Well, that time I'd climbed up there to film, to shoot across it. I think it was, school bus or kind of next to it. You and Kinger and A-Rob maybe?
Yeah, A-Rob, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that was not an access point that could be gotten to by snowmobile. However, I saw Treadway get very close once.
Yeah, that guy's sick.
And almost lose his sled in the process.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that wraps up. I think that gives people an idea. Tailgate Alaska tickets go on sale today.
One of the best weeks of your life, so go buy them.
Yep, and actually the dates for Tailgate are March 29th to April 7th in Thompson Pass.
Right. So here's one more question for you, actually, Dustin. Like, okay, let's say I'm thinking about going to Tailgate. Just run people through kind of how the scenario goes, like how you show up, what the deal is.
I mean, some people drive because they have like their tiny homes or their school buses or their sleds, and so they drive up through Canada and they don't even go into like the main city.
Right.
They just drop straight into.
But that's not a majority of people. A majority of people fly into Anchorage.
Majority of people, you fly into Anchorage, and like typically you kind of hang out there for a day. Your homies fly in from around at like different times, and you meet up with them. You get your motorhome. We got really affordable, like, motorhome rental rates that we negotiate that are like half off their summer price. And so you pick up one of those and they're like fully equipped, heat, everyone can sleep, there's music, and then you go to the grocery store and you get all your food. And then it's like a 5-hour drive, you know, through like the Chugach, like right to your south of you. And then you're into Thompson Pass.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, right on, Dustin. I'm looking forward to this year's tailgate, and good luck. And I'm not buying a ticket because I started the event, but I think everyone should.
It's so cheap, Sully. Come on.
It actually is.
Support.
Like I think you're kind of crazy doing it for $15 a day. When you break it down like that, it's like, man, that's nothing. You know, I mean, you can't even get a hamburger at any ski area in the country for $15 or as lunch. You know.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm selling cheeseburgers for $15 at Tailgate this
year. Oh, okay. There we go.
I'm just like Vale, dude. I'm just like Vale.
Okay, I got you. Right on. Well, thanks for your time, Dustin. I appreciate it. And, man, I'm looking forward to this year's tailgate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, guys. Keep up the good work, man. I'll just, peace out from Alaska, dude. Snow's coming here. People are already sledding up here, so.
Yeah, cool.
Right on, Dustin. We'll have fun, man.
Right on. All right, see you later.
Later.
Wow, that was pretty cool, huh? $15 a day, though, Beav. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap. But hey, I mean, honestly, if you don't go now, when are you going to go?
How are you feeling about handing off the reins there to Dustin?
I feel good about it. You know, I feel really good about it because honestly, it allows Dustin to grow as a person, and you know, it allows Tailgate to take a little bit of a new direction. Cool. And so it's like, you know, I took it into a similar direction for like 10 plus years, and so it's like, and now it can go into a little bit different direction. It can be organic and grow and change. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. And really, I'm just proud of the fact that like I introduced thousands and thousands of people to Alaska. Right. Snowboarding there.
You introduced me to Alaska, and I cherish all those years.
Yeah, me too.
Spent just loving my life and hating my life on Thompson Pass.
It really is a trial by fire.
It is. It's an amazing time. It's an amazing place to challenge yourself. Hey, what's up, Roger?
Nothing much.
Roger Sullivan. Mark Sullivan, 30 years earlier, right?
Yeah.
What's going on? You loving snowboarding?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah? What's the best thing about snowboarding?
Just like, it's a good experience, and it's really good to do with friends and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why we all got into snowboarding, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah? Okay, so what is the feeling you get when you're getting up in the morning and you're going to go snowboarding?
I get really excited. Sometimes I'm not too excited, though, because sometimes a little tired, but it's always really fun in the end.
Does Mark pull you out of bed and go like, Roger, it's time to go snowboarding?
Yeah.
He does, huh? Because he's all stoked on snowboarding.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, how much does Mark love snowboarding?
He loves it like a lot.
Like a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. What's it like being his son? Is it hard? Do you have to compete with the snowboard sometimes?
Yeah, it can be kind of hard to keep up because he is pretty dang fast, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys race sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, have you donated to our Patreon?
No.
Why the heck not, Raj? Don't you have a job?
I guess I do have a job.
Yeah, what's your job?
I'm the mail guy for the Snowboard project.
Wait, you're our mail guy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least you didn't get intern position because you'd be making me coffee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that job sucks. Anyway, so you haven't chipped down a couple bucks?
Not yet, but I'm gonna.
Where do you go? Where do we go to do that?
We go to patreon.com/the Snowboard project.
Yeah. Thank you, Roger. If you didn't get that, patreon.com/the Snowboard project. This is the voice of Mark Sullivan 30 years ago. Yeah, that's what he'd sound like.
So what else should we talk about here?
Well, should we talk about what's going on over there in Wyoming really quick?
Oh boy, this is some heavy stuff. This is like the opposite of Tailgate. I feel like that's all positive. This is not all positive.
I will say this, I was talking to this guy John Miller today, and he said, now this might even affect the Chugach, because there's kind of this battle brewing between I guess these initiatives to change mixed use areas, meaning like you can ride a snowmobile into an area or a motorcycle or whatever, and changing them from mixed use areas into wilderness. And I know that I've seen this happen here in Sun Valley with an area that was designated wilderness, a very popular mountain biking trail, and you can't mountain bike on it anymore because it was designated wilderness. And I think most of us are in the camp of saying like, well, let's preserve the wilderness because we love being in it.
Right.
But I think there's also the other side that says if we can't get access to those areas easily, then doesn't that just defeat the whole purpose? Like we can't actually get into them. And what the wilderness area did here is it stopped a whole bunch of mountain bikers from being able to go into the backcountry, and I think that's a problem. And just so you know, this isn't just Jackson that this is happening in. There's 1 million acres in the Chugach, which is under current review right now as well. So I mean, this is knocking on a lot of people's doors. I think it's happened, he said, in Tahoe. It has happened, and it's currently happening in Wyoming. And what's happening over there is there's the Wyoming Public Lands Initiative, and oh man, basically to boil it down, there's about 100,000 acres. Well, just to know this, there's 6 million acres around Jackson that is designated wilderness, where you can't take a snowmobile and do those things. But there's about 100,000 where traditionally, like, it's called the Palisades and the Shoals area, and these are areas like that we've seen in snowboard videos, like Travis Rice. Much of Travis Rice's movies have been shot like in the Palisades, and they are looking to turn that into wilderness, and that, and that would highly restrict, access to those areas in the winter, if you're not walking out to those areas, So that's really the fight that's happening, and this board that has been put together to take public comment, I believe submits their findings to their senator, which either then they take it a
so
step
who
further.
are these people who are like anti-snowmobile, anti-mixed use, who are trying to who's like super anti fun? Who are the anti-fun
well,
people?
I think that the Sierra Club, and I believe there's a Wildlands Alliance kind of out of Boise. I think there are a number of these kind of places. And, I think most of us can say like, hey, the Sierra Club has done amazing things, conservation and stuff like that. But, in turn, what they're really trying to do is shut down these areas so that, a copper mine can't be built out that area, and a silver mine can't be built up along this waterway. And in turn, what ends up happening is it's this broad stroke that ends up restricting everything that's man-made. So like a bike, or
or a copper mine. They get considered the same thing. A copper mine or a mountain bike are the same thing, basically, in the eyes of this legislation.
Right, or a wheelchair. And I find this kind of just like
a Segway tour.
And they really want to do it so that they conserve these areas for us, and I understand that. But at the same time, they minimize the ability for a lot of people to be able to access them or to be able to get into them. Is that right? And I think that's the battle. And unfortunately, what I think it comes down to, and from talking to John and a number of different people, and John he published a thing last week, I believe, to the community of snowmobilers that just said like, hey, we need to start taking part in our public lands debate, because if you're not participating, it's going to be taken away a lot quicker, and unfortunately, the broad community of snowmobilers are kind of these Midwest snowmobilers that are like, what do you mean public lands are going to be taken away? Sorry, I shouldn't have said that like that. But,
like with an accent.
Yeah, with that accent, that was a little bad. But, we use snowmobiles really to get us further into the backcountry so that then we can access things, Right. And it's not necessarily thinking about like, I'm trying to tear up this, this.
Well, you don't on a snowmobile because you're tearing up like powder snow, which is like 5 feet deep. So you're not actually affecting the flora or fauna.
Sure. Yeah, I had a lot. There were
interesting.
There are a lot of different kind of ideas on how that really doesn't.
Okay, so what can we do? What can we do to be like leave our lands open for mixed use? So what do we do? How can we take action?
I think that we need to
Can
start.
we write the Sierra Club and be like, what are you guys kooking out about?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they're the ones who are kooking out on this.
Well, I think it's a couple different things. I think that there needs to be some stewardship and responsibility within the power sports industry, meaning motorcycles and snowmobilers need to come out and actually take part in, preservation. I think that's part of it. But I think also on the other side of it, the Sierra Club, these different conservation groups need to come to an agreement that just says like, hey, we want you to be able to access this rather than just it's going to be foot access only. Like, so next year when they're all walking out to the Palisades with snowshoes, then you can know that's what happened, and I think it's
so do like our backcountry skiers with like their skins and stuff, is that similar to a mountain bike? Or I mean, that gives you a mechanical advantage,
right? I don't know what they would say about that. I don't think so. I think you can actually use that. I think if you go on some of these,
it's probably those people who are advocating then for it, the people who are like, I need my silence.
Sure, exactly.
Something like that. Okay, and
exactly.
I understand that perspective as well, but the thing is, like, the backcountry is a great and broad place, and so, the places that you can access with skis or by that mode of transportation are totally different, or you have access to different places.
Sure.
This is a really a weird debate for me because it's like, what happened? I mean, Trump would never allow that to happen. I don't like Trump at all, but it's like, this is like, seems like it's like regulating unnecessarily.
Right.
And it's not really to the benefit of like the people who are really, I don't know, this just gets really weird for me because honestly, it's like, keep this open. I don't want that regulation, but I think that, deregulating schools is not a good idea too, you know?
It's an interesting one because I think most of us that enjoy the wilderness would say like, let's figure out how to like make our carbon footprint smaller and things like that, and try to be conscious of that. But at the same time, like, that's how I get 10, 15 miles into the backcountry, before I can actually take part in the place that I want to be. I'm not walking that far and camping 2 days in and out, to go access my stuff. So it's definitely an interesting debate, but I think it's one that everybody who is around these areas who enjoys accessing things with motor vehicles better start taking a part in and start having those conversations within.
So how do we get involved? Let's wrap this up because I think we're going down a rabbit hole here.
It's hard. Well, I don't exactly know what the Teton County Commissioners, how people are getting involved tomorrow. I know that there is a moment, I think, where some people get to talk. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if it's writing your senator. I don't know if it's talking. There's a lot of people that are for this changing of things to wilderness, and not a lot of standing up and saying before it's too late against it. So I think it's going to come knocking on the door of a lot of places like the Chugach, like more in Idaho. I think there'll be more in Utah and Wyoming. So
I got a question for you.
Sure.
It's like is like Patagonia behind this or something like that?
Well, I think Patagonia and REI and a number of these companies are definitely moneyed interest, or not. I wouldn't say money interest. I would say they're supporters of like the Sierra Club, so they are ultimately like writing the checks for these things to happen, for these lobbying things to happen. And I think that's interesting because you look at
yourself, don't support those businesses.
Well,
right? Honestly. Honestly, I'll speak with my wallet. I
think it's this. I think it's that the conversation doesn't get talked about between the two. So you have this chasm between, the moto industry divided against the outer, the outer sports industry, and it's just kind of a conversation that doesn't get talked about because they say, well, we need to conserve this from this, but really you're restricting me from here. So I don't know. I don't
know either, man. This sounds like sounds like a sad time. Everyone gets so worked up over stuff, and they're like, "Oh man, we can't get Trump out of office, so we'll just shut everyone down."
Right.
Here's something we can regulate.
But when you and I are gonna, the next step is gonna be us having to pay for parking at this wilderness area, and go through a gate to be able to see it and be sold $20 burgers.
Who's going to enforce this, though? When I think about Alaska, it's like there's like a cop literally the closest cop is an hour away.
Sure, I don't know. I know that when they shut down that area to mountain bikers in Idaho, they started ticketing everybody. I think it was $175 or something like that. If they found a bike rack in the lot, they were waiting around to ticket you.
Yeah.
'Cause they knew
Okay.
that-
Okay.
Anyway,
Let's move on.
let's move on.
I mean, that's depressing. It's just depressing. And honestly, it's like I want to ride. I want to have access to, the wilderness areas, or like areas that are in the backcountry. Let's not call them wilderness areas because you can't have. I mean, it's like literally, it's like, how am I supposed to enjoy those areas? I'm not going to walk them. I'm not going to snowshoe them. I'm gonna use a snowmobile. And honestly, when I go out snowmobiling, I never see anybody.
Yeah.
So it's like, who's like good time am I infringing on?
Sure.
Right. Anyhow.
Anyway.
So let's move on.
Well,
let's go into like
if
trivia.
anything, I just want to say this. I
something.
want to say that let's get involved and start paying attention before it's too late. And that's where I'll leave that. All right, let's move on to trivia.
Yeah.
All right, last week's trivia.
Last week. Yeah.
Here we go. Number 1, who had the first women's pro model?
Okay. So, I mean, I talked to Bridges about this actually last week. And so he was saying there's an obscure pro model in Japan, the TJ, which nobody knows about, not even me. But it was like Ginny Higgins, I think, and Tara Eberhard and Jeannie Higgins to TH or TJ. I don't know. But that one like didn't even make it to America. So I guess the first one that was sold in America was a board by the brand of Checker Pig, Lisa Vincent-Guerra. Lisa Vincent-Guerra, her pro model on Checker Pig was the first women's pro model. And then that was followed pretty closely behind by Shannon Dunn. And so many other women's pro models. But really Lisa Vincent-Guerra would be the first one. Checker Pig,
dude. Those Checker Pig boards back in the day were pretty sick. Like, I really liked their. Did you like those boards?
No, I did. I just thought I thought Crazy Banana was cool because it had some cool people behind it, but it was like. But I thought Checker Pig was like, oh, what do we call our brand? Well, Crazy Banana. What's like Crazy Banana? Checker Pig. That's a great name. Hooger Booger, right? It's like all these fucking dumb names, in my opinion. So sorry, but
I just kind of like. I just thought it was kind of fun. Maybe because I remember it when I was like 7 years old, being like, that Checkered Pig board's so cool,
Okay. You probably still have one, don't you?
No, but I guess at the same time, LibTech was putting out a board with a skeleton across it, so that one's like probably way cooler. It just connected with me in a different way back then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they did. Second trivia or third trivia question.
No, second trivia question.
The second one.
First woman snowboard brand.
Okay, I'm going to go with Prom. The first major one would be Prom. Swagged, SWAG, was like a clothing brand. They introduced a women's line called Swag. And there's probably like a niche one that came before that. Like Betty Rides might have come like slightly before that. But really, as far as making a splash, it was Swag or like Tuesday, which was Twist's women's line. Those were the two favorite ones that I had.
Whatever happened to those brands? Did they just die off a couple years later?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was like that boom of the 90s and they just went away after that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the third question?
Third question. Who was the first woman CEO of the world's largest snowboard brand?
That's gonna be Donna Carpenter.
Donna Carpenter. Burton Snowboards.
Yeah. Yep.
When did she take over as CEO? When was that? Or was she always CEO?
Yeah. She took over. Jake was getting sick. I don't know if he was actually the CEO prior to that. I know he was always involved. He still is involved, but really, like, he got ill. He had like the Guillain-Barré syndrome and a few other sicknesses. Had a heart attack and stuff. So like, he just wasn't up to the stress level of like running like the world's largest snowboard company. And so Donna was definitely fit for that job. And Donna has been like an incredible advocate for women's snowboarding, women's involvement in sports snowboarding. So I think that's a cool thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have some trivia for us this week?
Maybe I'll get just a couple of trivia questions. I'm gonna have to think of them right now because I'm selling my truck as we speak. Actually.
Whoa! I thought that was your role. They're your job to get a few of those made up.
I know it was my job. You told me like, hey, get a couple trivia questions. So I'll bust out some trivia questions right now.
Okay.
Who is the first guy to have a pro model on Aggression snowboards, and it's a famous board, by the way. So the pro model on Aggression, and what was that graphic? That people still collect to this day. There's one board on Aggression. Aggression is kind of long since forgotten. And what was that pro model? What was that graphic that people fiend after to this day?
Okay, that's a good one. And what is our next one?
Okay, then, here's the one on the same lines. It's like, what was Terrier's first graphic?
Terrier's first graphic?
Yeah, Terrier's first pro model graphic.
I'm having a hard time thinking of the...
Okay, and then I got another graphic. I'll do three graphic questions this week. And then who had the skate trucks? Like, who had like the skate trucks? There was like 2 boards that came out in 1 year. 2 incredible riders both had skate trucks on the bottom of their snowboards as their graphics.
Yep, for sure know one.
Okay, yeah, but there's 2. Okay. So, and there may be more than 2, but at least 2 are acceptable. So,
okay.
And so, yeah, that's our trivia for this week.
All right.
Oh, and by the way, we had a winner last week. That was Gags, Mike Gagliardi's got a spot at the Hot Water Inn, 2 Rainiers.
2 Rainiers and two single beds for the night at the Hot Water Inn.
He'll spoon up with you, even maybe beef.
I'm kind of excited to ride Sun Valley with Gags when he comes.
I know, me too. Oh, and by the way, correction to our rumor mill last week.
Oh,
Never Summer will still be making the Sims boards at least through this year, so you'll still get that Never Summer quality with the Sims branding. So we know that. That Gags corrected me on that.
Okay.
And then also, if you're still listening, and if you've listened for an hour already, then please review us. Please rate us. Please subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Please tell your friends about the Snowboard Project.
How does that help us out, Mark?
Apparently, like in your iTunes, like results, like that helps. Like every time you get rated, every time you get reviewed, Bridges was telling me that really counts towards your popularity, towards your syndication.
I was noticing we've been reviewed like 53 times, which I thought that's amazing. Yeah. You know?
58. They just haven't all shown up yet. But yeah, I mean, honestly, there's other podcasts with like hundreds of them,
right? And
thousands and hundreds of thousands even. But I don't know if we're going to get there, but we should.
Do you think we'll get to 1,000? You think we'll get there?
I would love that. I mean, honestly, it's like we do this for the people, for the snowboarders. So I hope the 1,000 snowboarders will like it.
All right.
Right. I don't just do this for your benefit or your girlfriend's benefit, Beef.
Yes, because my girlfriend listens. I think my girlfriend listens solely just to hear my voice because I'm always doing something else.
I know. You got to give it a little NPR. Like, hi, Leah. How are you?
This is your boyfriend.
I miss you,
Beef.
This is
I know
your
you're
boyfriend,
listening
Beef.
in the car as you're driving home from work, and
Yes, the Beef misses you, Leah.
The Beef misses you.
The Beef. All right. Let's wrap up this version of Real Talk. What day is today? Today is like what, the 15th, 14th?
Today is, I believe, the 14th.
14th of October, 2018.
That is true.
Thanks for tuning in. Real Talk.
Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
On behalf of Mark Sullivan and the Beef, thanks for listening to the Snowboard Project. Remember, ride fast, take chances, dream big, and take action. And for God's sake, don't forget to support advertising-free snowboarding media at patreon.com. The Snowboard Project. The Snowboard Project. The Snowboard Project.